Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary, quite incredible, quite unlike anything you may have experienced in your life.
Joe, what it do? Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Takeover Show. I'm your host, Misa, guys, and as always, I got my crew with me. The very sexy owner of Next Gen Sports and Do Cheese, the one and only Mr. Chewy.
What up, guys? What up? How we doing?
Sheesh. Over on soundboard, he's a little quiet, but he's my little brother. Give it up for my boy, Kevin.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Sheesh. Oh, guys. All right, guys. So today we got a very, very special guest. I was supposed to meet this guy and interview him about a year ago. I was actually lost somewhere in Cancun. I think I got like kidnapped or something like that during that time. Very, very bad time for me. But nonetheless, guys, please help me welcome. Let me get my notes here. Please help me welcome the founder of the Marketing Hunters, specializes in branding and market positioning, the very, very talented Mr. RUBEN Alvarez.
How come Chewy gets to be sexy? I want to be sexy.
Yeah, you are sexy, dude.
The handsomely sexy RUBEN Alvarez.
There you go.
Yeah,
How about that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Welcome, brother.
Yeah,
Thank you,
welcome, man. Welcome. Like I said, we were supposed to meet about a year ago over in our last podcast, but I got kidnapped. Shit happens. But
You liked it.
it was fun, actually, dude. I had a lot of fun. But for those who might not know who you are, RUBEN, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Man, that's a loaded question because it could go anywhere, right? I think the main thing is I just believe I can do anything, right?
Okay.
And so, and there's a certain point to that, right? Like, it's not that you can just do anything. It's that you really have to, like, for example, you go to the NBA, like Steph Curry, right? Most people are like, that dude's too short. And then he just starts hitting threes, right? So it's like, you could be really short. You just have to kind of find your way into anything. Originally from California, I moved here to El Paso about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And when we moved here to California, we were at 3 employees. Now we're at 9. So contrary to what most people think, it's like you can actually make it in El Paso, and it's pretty easy, actually.
You know what, Kevin? Give him a round of applause for that, dude.
So you've just been moving up in the world since we last saw you. Respect, bro. That's how it should be.
That's cool. So I want to start off. You said your early life, growing up in California, Orange County, right?
Yep.
Born and raised there your whole life.
Till about 27 years,
So about 27 years.
Yeah.
How was life out there, man? What were you into? From what I remember, I think you were you wanted to be a chef or something like that.
No, I am
right?
a chef.
You are a
No.
chef.
Yeah, I'm actually like I have my certification and my degree in.
So you
culinary
went
arts.
to culinary school and stuff like that,
Yeah,
and
I
you became a
graduated.
chef.
Yeah, so like on paper and my degree and everything, culinary arts chef.
Damn, respect.
Wow.
Bro.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I like eating. I don't like cooking. There's a big difference, and I didn't know that going into that. So
Wow, dude. So you could help me with the brand and cook for me at the same time.
I could do that, but if I cook for you, it would cost you way more than if I did the brand because I don't want to cook. You know what I mean?
So how was that? I mean, like I said, you went to culinary school, growing up in California, and then moving to El Paso, right? Big difference. I mean, from what I thinking of Orange County, California, and then having to move here to El Paso. Yeah. What was that big move, and what happened?
Yeah, so we were in Arizona at the time because we went 27 years in El Paso or in California, and then right before the pandemic, we decided let's move to Arizona and let's try to buy a house. And then we saw that the houses were kind of cheap, so we're like, yeah, let's save a little bit more money, put more down. COVID hit, and then we basically stayed in the house we were renting. The houses skyrocketed, and we didn't buy a house. So for those 2 years, we didn't really meet anyone. We were only inside the house and everything. So we just decided, I hired John Rivas. Shout out to John Rivas. Everybody
Yeah,
knows
shout out to
Rivas.
John, man, John.
So we hired him, and we did an event, and then people showed up to the event. We're like, holy, like we've met more people in El Paso in one event than we did in 2 years in Arizona. So we started looking at houses over here, and then it's like, yeah, whatever. If we move from California to Arizona, we can move from Arizona to El Paso. You know what I mean?
Did you ever hear about El Paso before? Before all that?
No.
Until you met John.
No, I mean, I think maybe I heard somebody say that they were from there one time, and I
Right.
was like, where's that, you know? Like, but before that, I had no idea.
So basically, you decided to move over here because you saw that you would get more reactions or more attention from other people that you were aiming for?
Well, you know, it's like I said, it's very easy to grow here. I think that people just have the wrong perception that there is no money in El Paso.
And,
Right.
and
Right.
I was going back to the old pod. I was hearing it, and you were saying that thing that here in El Paso, it's easy to grow if you know the right people, if you put your work effort in it in front.
Yeah, I feel like El Paso is that type of city. It's like that big little city feeling where, I mean, we're huge. We're in the top 20 biggest cities in America, right? But you mention one name and somebody's going to know him, like one of his cousins or somebody worked with him or knows,
Exactly.
you know, somebody that he dated and stuff like that. But that's how it always been here in El Paso.
Yeah, but I think that there's a very specific time where like things are in the right, you know, like there's the right time for everything. And I heard that even like 10 years ago that the politics here were just horrible, where like nothing could happen, and blah, blah, blah,
yeah.
right? And but here's the thing, like with politics, and I'm not too political, but what I know about politics and what you see, like not even just here, but like in the U.S., politicians don't do shit.
Yeah.
Realistically, like Elon Musk does more than a politician does.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, yeah.
So I it became very clear really quickly that if you really want stuff to change, you need money. You don't need political power. You know, Donald Trump too. Like
Right,
he
yeah,
became
yeah,
the president. You know what I mean? Just by having money, not
Having
because
cash.
yeah, exactly. He
Yeah.
bought his way in. You know,
Yeah.
so there's a lot that you can do with money, and I think that people think that it's like politics are going to change it. It's not.
Yeah.
You just gotta get the money.
Did you
have
ever
money.
think about getting into politics? I mean, because you're very good at speaking and kind of communicating with a big crowd. Have you ever thought of like, hey, you know what? I could not just live in El Paso, but run that shit.
Maybe president, but that's like president of the United States. But anything under that, no.
Oh, really?
No, because and even then, president, like you kind of have power and you really don't.
No,
you
you
know?
gotta be like in your 80s to be president, bro.
Well, I don't know,
Nowadays.
Obama. It's because the person that kind of convinced me was Obama. You know what I mean? Because Obama, they said that the way that he talked, he appealed to every part of the nation. And that's the thing that I don't like about politics right now is that like you have Biden who appeals to one side and you have Trump who appeals to another side. And what we really need is somebody who can appeal to everything. Like, even though Obama, like, everybody's like, oh, he did us wrong and he did us dirty. For those 8 years that he was in office, everybody was so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? Like, he
We're
was
so-
screwing us left and
yeah.
right. But everybody was like, I love that guy, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that's what we really need. And that's the only thing that really kind of, like, entices me about it maybe one day. Is if the country needs it, I'm like, yeah, maybe I might do it, you know?
Yeah, when he puts it, I'm like, damn, we're divided as hell.
Yeah, oh, for
Super
sure.
divided,
For sure
like,
we're divided.
It's
I mean,
something
it's
to
all
unite, you
gangs,
know?
dude. I don't like getting into politics. I'm not all into it. I used to be, but you know, growing up and you know, being into politics and seeing how it is, my thought was always like how he was saying. It's like I had to either be on one side or none at all. It's just be a bystander and watch. And to this point, like I stopped voting. You know, like and of course you're not gonna have one person that's gonna make everybody happy,
Yeah.
right? But it's to a point where like it's so much drama.
Oh, for sure.
There's so much drama that I don't know. It's like fuck it, dude. I'm moving to Canada. But
Can I get on no says no more?
Like, I'm only listening to Justin Bieber from now on. Drake and
but,
Justin Bieber, that's all you're going to be listening
hey,
from
dude,
now.
that's fine, dude. I mean, I'm
think,
cool with both.
You think that's all they bump over there?
I think so, dude. And then they just have their elks and
I mean, the Nelk boys from over there.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, yeah.
I think the
yeah,
main
they're
guy.
Canadian.
Yeah.
But,
But,
what do they eat over there? And not to be like
I don't know, but they talk French out there, dude. Oh, we
crumpets.
That's what I
French.
heard. That like imagine like the gangsters over there like trying to be all hard in French.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
Like, oh, wait.
yo, give me your croissant.
Bang bang.
But what were your thoughts like coming into El Paso for your very first time, like seeing the way it is, the landscape and big old mountain in the middle of the city?
So you have to, and John barely went with me for the first time to Orange County, right? You have to go over there to really understand how we view El Paso.
Right.
Because El Paso has so much potential, but there's a problem here. And like even in your downtown is tiny, or we should say our downtown, right? We went to Irvine, which is like where we were living for like a long time. And I told John, I was like, you see all those buildings? This place is a small city. Like, this isn't LA. LA is a big city. You know, that's like metropolitan. Irvine is a small city. There's probably 50 to 52 high rises in Irvine.
Damn.
Yeah. And then one of my friends lives on the 18th floor of a high rise.
God.
Just him.
What
you know
would
what
a
I
building
mean?
be considered as a high rise? Like, how tall does it have to be?
Let's say
10 stories?
14 stories and over.
14 stories and
And
over.
this was
centimeters.
in what?
Irvine, California. Like, no G at the end, E at the end. ERVINE.
And how many does El Paso have then? Shit, like 20?
7, maybe?
Less?
Yeah, like downtown, there's probably only like 7.
Yeah.
You know? And so, like, because, like I said, 14 and over, right? Because the Cortez one is 10.
Oh, damn. It looks pretty, bro.
Yeah, dude. And it's...
That's
and
very
All right,
nice.
we're out.
This is a small city.
Really? This is small in Cali.
This is small in
You
Cali.
think that could be like a big reason why people might not see El Paso as like one of those cities just because there's no
Yes.
big downtown?
Yes, absolutely. Well, see, there's a few things, right? Like, if you really want to get into like the interesting parts of like why, like, I've been to all these major cities, like Nashville. I've been to San Antonio, Houston, Phoenix. I've been to Seattle. I've been to Portland, even Portland, right?
Right.
There's a few things, and we'll start with the one that's like more scandalous than anything. You guys don't have a bar crawl.
What's
There's no
that?
bar crawl. It means that, like, if I want to go downtown and drink, what do I have to do? Okay, I go to the International. Okay.
Yeah.
Where's the next closest one? Oh, maybe the Berkeley. Okay, cool. Then there's the Reagan. Then what's the next one?
Yeah.
The Garrison. I have to walk like 2 blocks to the
Church
Garrison.
bar?
There's no bar hopping.
There's no
downtown
bar
El
hop.
Paso.
There's no bar crawl. So
that's
every major
called. Oh,
town
okay.
has one. So, like, we went to Newport Beach. Newport Beach has like 8 or 9 different bars in the same little tiny area.
Right.
You go
Street.
to Fullerton. Fullerton has downtown Fullerton. That place has like 40 bars.
Damn.
Right? You go to Tempe. Tempe has like the college town, right? There's like 20 bars right there. You go to El Paso, you have Elton's all the way the fuck over there, and then you have like a few over here, and then you have a few over there. And so it's like, why don't you have that? Because everybody's greedy here with the downtown buildings.
Super greedy, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I think like a few years ago when you had all those places at the Union Plaza, right? All those
That's
clubs
what I heard,
and stuff.
yes.
Like, people started complaining and look at it. Now it's a fucking dead spot, dude.
Yes.
Now it's just businesses or offices and I remember back then when me and my wife started dating, we'd go out there all the time because you could just stay in those small in this
1,
close
2,
region and
3,
just go
4,
bam,
5.
bam,
Yep.
bam, 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 and then that's it.
That's
you know?
what makes downtown fun. So now you like look at it from a visitor's perspective, right? You're visiting, you're from another big town, you come here, you're by yourself, you're like, I'm gonna do business. Let's go out and have fun tonight. What am I gonna do? You're gonna go to 2 bars and you're gonna be like, F this place, I'm going back home. I'm going back to the hotel. Like, there's nothing to do. It's dead, you know?
So in your opinion, what do you think El Paso could do better? Like add more bars to downtown?
That's one thing. That's just for visitors, right? But I think that the main thing that El Paso needs is like, and this is more on the Latino side, right? So now we're gonna get into like a culture thing. If we had politicians that were white in office, right, like the districts and the mayor and everything, the city would grow. But because we have Latinos there, and Latinos are like very sentimental about the downtown area, and like, oh, let's not build a
Thank you.
stadium, let's not do
Duranguito.
anything.
Thank
Yes,
you, bro.
they're very like, oh no, like people are
Yeah.
gonna get mad, Duranguito, blah blah blah, like,
Let it go.
and it's like if it was a white person, they'd be like, we're gonna do it anyway. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's why Irvine has freaking 40 high-rise buildings. Do we need 40 high-rise buildings in a residential area? No, we do not.
But does it look
somebody,
nice?
yeah, but somebody was like, screw it, whatever. You want to put up a high-rise building and you want to give me $3 million?
Yeah.
Do it.
You think
know?
El Paso here in El Paso at the downtown? You think it's a good spot to have it residential like downtown spaces,
Yes.
like created?
Yeah, you can do it. The thing is that you just can't grow a city holding on to the past, so it's like you can have your historic districts, and it's like I heard the what was it called, people were saying, okay, well, you have all these people that have houses, right? Leave their houses, put standards. We live like we work by the Montana district, right? There is no standard, and the houses are disgusting. They're breaking like down. No, I know.
It happened twice in the last episode, dude. You're gonna have to leave your phone at home. and
But
shit.
back to it.
Yeah, no, I mean, the houses are disgusting.
Yeah,
And-
dude.
and-
Yeah,
and they
it's
don't
pretty
they don't
bad.
tell them anything.
And then I'm not gonna lie, it kind of gives me, and I love Juarez. I'm sorry, guys, but it does give me a little glimpse.
Oh.
of little Juarez, bro. Little
Yes.
like
Dude, I've
cross
always-
over, and it's like,
yeah,
did I cross yet or what the fuck,
Yeah.
bro? Because it doesn't look nice, bro. And then, like when I was little, bro, I thought like Spider-Man and shit. So
Yeah.
I would see their downtown, and then I would go downtown, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
know
you
what? I
can't
think
even
El
fucking
Paso-
swing here, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
Spider-Man
exactly. Yeah,
would
you go
not-
from side to
yeah,
side.
Spider-Man would not make it here. I was like, No mames, way like.
That's why they didn't. That's why they didn't film that movie here, the Blue Beetle, dude. Because
Con
look at how it looks.
pobrecito.
But I've always been that type of guy, especially like in my high school years, like thinking like, oh man, I can't wait to move out and have my own place. I always wanted to live that like that city life.
Yeah. But
Having
what's
it
cool
downtown.
is that you can, so this is what here's the good thing about El Paso. If you wanted to live the city life and you go to Dallas, you're going to be paying $2,000 to $3,000 minimum for a tiny apartment.
Get out.
Here,
for real?
there's the electricity building, right? The one that says
Yeah,
electricity.
that's a nice
Dude,
spot,
those
dude.
are like, I think they were 800 to 1600.
Yeah.
And you can live at the very top of the thing and you're looking at buildings all day long.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not an
Actually,
electricity
I tried.
factory?
I didn't think so either. I thought that it was
What?
literally like El Paso.
No,
like
yeah,
the
those
old
are
building.
apartments.
Those
dude.
are apartments.
I looked into
What?
them, and they're very, very nice, and it's a historical building too.
Yeah.
But it's also like I
Modernized.
said, like yeah. But like I said, man, it'd be nice also like if people took care of like their downtown buildings. There's so many vacant buildings.
yeah.
in
They're
downtown.
rotting
And
they're
people don't wanna
holding them.
sell it,
They're
they don't-
holding exactly. They're just holding them because they're greedy.
El terreno.
Like even
Yeah.
if I didn't live in downtown, right? Like it'd be nice to like go downtown, get something to eat and just walk around there. If it's something nice, man, I've always liked that. Like walking through downtown and there's so much places that you could hang out and have a good time, but it's like you walk and it's a nice street, you turn the corner and it's like holy shit, nobody fucking lives here. Like somebody's sleeping on the sidewalk and somebody's getting mugged down the street and I don't know, man. I thought it was it's been kind of crazy, but
Now that he mentions like a bar crawl, the only one I could think of is over there on the west side, bro. By
Which
Union
one?
Plaza and stuff like that. There's like little bars.
Union Plaza. Oh yes,
Or,
yeah. There's a
yeah.
few there, yeah.
Or not Union Plaza.
But even
Cincinnati?
downtown Cincinnati, yeah, like
Cincinnati?
where all the
that's
all the
the other
college
one.
students are at. Yeah.
But I was
that's
thinking
the
more
one.
over there by
that's what they should have
the
done
West
here
Town
at
Point.
this mall, man. Tear everything down or it's just get everybody out, remodel it and then it's just have nothing but restaurants and bars in here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but so that would work for locals, right? But you have
Right.
to really think of like how do you get people to want to come here and stuff, right? And so like La Nube is a good one, right? Because you have like the children's museum and stuff, and like it looks like it's like state of the art. But that's what I'm saying. It's so easy to make it here because
People don't
you
wanna let
guys-
go.
No, but you guys don't have anything, right? So the moment that someone creates something like La Nube, that's the lady is from, I forgot what place that she was at because I met her, but she's like from Europe somewhere, and she did her here, right? Her name is going to be known all over El Paso because they put work and effort into the museum. So you have all these old buildings, and you have the Chihuahua Stadium looks nice. Now we have the museum. Now we have three. So guess what? When they go to the museum, they're gonna be like, "Who made this?" Now the lady's famous, right?
Nice. Yeah.
So if you do anything here,
It's gotta come
that's
out.
half decent.
It has to be.
People
gonna
will know
be-
you.
yeah.
And
I think
That's
you
smart.
think also it has to do with like bringing new stuff from I guess out of town, whether
Absolutely.
it's new people or new ideas.
absolutely. I mean, you guys didn't have a crumble back then, right?
No.
How like everybody knows the word crumble now, right? Like
Yeah.
you know the pink box. Why? Because you brought something new.
Right.
And so El Paso, I mean, like us, we had our conference, right? We didn't half-ass it, and we put a bunch of money into it. And everybody's like, "When's the next one? When's the next one? When's the
That's
next one?"
awesome.
It's so you just find something that people aren't doing, and then you just make it here, and then all of a sudden. But the thing is that like the more that you do that, the more that the city grows.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So-
think I think people are also scared of taking that risk, right? Like how you said, like when it comes to Hispanics, they like to tend to hold on to the past or old
Yeah.
stuff, whether they don't do something with it. But I think it's also them like, hey, well, what if that doesn't work? We've never had it here in El Paso before. What if, and you're going to have those people that are going to be like, yeah, bring in the new stuff. But then you're going to have those people, those traditional, old school, traditional people
Yeah.
are going to be like, nah, you know what? Like, what if it doesn't work?
Yeah.
It's just a waste of money and stuff. But
Well, I noticed here, and this is the frustration, because I get really frustrated with this, right? Like we have a lot of people who copy us and like competitors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the funny thing is that it's annoying because it's like, dude, just do something else. You know what I mean? Like
The
stop
original.
copying
The
me
original.
word for word, right?
But I mean, at the same time, that's how you made it.
No, but here's the thing: is everybody copies everybody, right? There's a saying that's like, "Don't be a copycat unless you're copying the right cat." You know?
Oh, okay.
Never heard that one.
Kevin,
Yeah,
write
yeah,
that
yeah.
shit down, Kevin.
Yeah, yeah.
He's going to have a lot of these to say, so write them all down.
But here's the thing: I copy people too, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would be stupid if I was copying the people in the town, because then everybody would be like, "You're just you're an imitation of this person, right?"
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
that's what people do. I copy people that are from outside of town,
Bringing
And
something
people,
new.
People that are so big that even if I copy them, they don't
They
even
don't even
realize
notice.
I'm copying them.
You know what? He's
keep
right.
writing, Kevin.
He's
Keep
right
writing.
because I see fucking those. I don't like Chicos, right?
Yeah.
And like those roll tacos,
Yeah.
I see them everywhere now.
Yeah.
And they don't Why don't you have something original, something to offer? Because I don't want that.
Well, even crumble, right? Like I noticed that there's these people in town that are making like cookies now, right? And they have these cookies, and then there's like a box that they put them in. But if you look at it, like you have crumble, right? Super high end, luxurious box, super soft cookies. You open them, they're all well designed, right? They're like kind of half-assing the cookie design, and then the box looks really cheap. And it's like, so they're copying somebody who's already here. You're never going to win. They already are the best ones. You're always going to be second. So it's like, instead of putting your money into something that's a copy, you should just be like, well, what are they doing in Texas? Oh, they're doing, you know what? Nashville style barbecue. We have, what's that barbecue place that everybody eats here? That's like right off of the 10? No, it's like right off of the 10. It's Desert Oak.
Oh, Desert Oak.
Yeah, so Desert Oak, right? That's Texas style barbecue. Mm-hmm. There's no Nashville style barbecue here. Imagine if you did Nashville style barbecue. Who are you competing with? No one. Yeah. So you're either going to fail or you're going to do well, but you're not going to have a competitor. It's all based on you now, instead of like, oh, well, should we have crumble or should we have the knockoff? You know what I mean? It's more or less, should we have Nashville style barbecue or should we not?
Yeah.
That's the only option.
Kevin, write this down. Canadian food. So, going back, man. So how did it start? How did you decide? Hey, this whole marketing hunters is what I want to do. When did that thought cross your mind and stuff?
Yeah, I didn't. It was marketing hunters. You know, they sold the company that I was working at, and I had no idea what to do. I went to a conference, I think like a month and a half after that happened. And I hired a coach, and the dude was like, hey, you should start a company, because if you do a company, then you can write off everything, and then you get your money back. He's like, whatever you paid me, like, you got your money back. And he was all proud of himself, too. He's like, you see, I already made you money, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, bro, that's not how you make money. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like, I got my money back, but I don't want to get my money back. Like, I want to make more money.
Right?
Yeah,
make
exactly.
something you didn't have.
But one thing that he actually did tell me that helped me out a lot was at the manufacturing company, I was selling like 30 or 40 of a product average per month, and I was getting $50. So I was making like $1,500 extra a month. And he's like, if you could sell that for me, he's like, you'd probably be making about $150,000 a year.
God bless.
So I was like, okay. And he's like, here's the problem. He's like, if you should stop looking at $50 commissions, you should start looking at $1,500 commissions. You should really start looking at like, how can you go from making $50 every time you sell something to like $1,000 or $1,500. So that's why the marketing company started, because my prices started at $1,500, and I was too dumb to realize that for social media marketing I was high. Yeah, you know, everybody was charging like $500 to $600. I was charging that, and I got like, I think the first month we made like $4,500. So I was getting paid, I think like $5,000, and after taxes I was getting less. And then with the marketing company in the first month I was making $4,500. I almost like had matched what I was making. Right. So I was like, yeah, this is fucking genius. Why don't I do this? This is like, well, I'm sure this is this a scam? You know what I mean? Like, this seems way too easy. So, and that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Your reaction was like that scene from Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, you're like, people
like
do
the penny, like the penny stocks.
Yeah,
like, what? Are you serious right now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people are. Oh, you're actually paying the invoice. Like, but that's kind of where we're at right now, because the marketing company is doing well, but we're stuck at our $1,500 to $3,000 pops.
Okay.
So now we're thinking like, we can't. Like, where's the commission in that, right? Like, for my sales reps and for me, they sell something, they have to get paid. I have overhead. I have a place that I need to pay. Like, there's too much. So how can I make bigger commission? So now we're looking at public speaking. Public speaking, the first 2 to 3 years, the most that I can make is about $10,000, but for 1 hour.
Damn.
So I'm like, that's a good commission. I'm
dude,
like,
that's how much we talk for, and we haven't made shit.
Exactly. So once you get really good, then you start getting into the 20,000. Once you get really good, you start going to like 50, but like you have to be really good and you have to have somewhat of an audience.
Right.
And then when you get really, really good and you become mainstream, it's about 100,000 to 200,000 an hour.
Jesus, because you've had what I saw, you did some like TEDx talks or something like that, in Socorro or something.
Yeah.
How did that come to be? How did you, like how you said, you decided like, you know what, we need more than just what we're doing. We need like to do these talks. How did that come to be? Like the first times. How did you prepare for all that?
Well, it's funny. Me and Chewy were talking about this before, because he was talking about like an opportunity, or like he was going to reach out to somebody and say like if they wanted to do something. And I was like, dude, do you have any other opportunities? He's like, no. I was like, then just do it. You know what I mean? Just reach out to them. Just, you know? And that's kind of, it's funny because a lot of the stuff that happens, it's me either reaching out or just saying yes instead of like, oh, let me think about it, yes or no. You know, like here's a super good life lesson. And I've only met like 2 or 3 people in my entire life that like knew this before I had to teach it to them. If somebody offers you money, you say thank you, and you grab the money and you say thank you, and you put it in your pocket, and that's it. Most people are like, no, why? Like, oh, that's too much. You know what I mean? Like, if I pull out like $100 right now, and I'm like, hey, here's $100, you're like, why?
Yeah.
No. You shut the fuck up and you say, oh, cool, thank you, and you put it in your pocket.
Kevin, put that shit up. Shut the fuck up. Put it in your pocket.
Yeah, I could see that because it just takes the awkwardness out of the situation and like just shut up.
Who cares why they want to give you $100?
Take it.
They'll let you know. They'll let you know. And if you don't want it, you can pull it back out and give it to them. But if you say no or why, guess what happens? With the hesitation, I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't give it to you, and I put it back in my pocket.
He's double thinking of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Does it do better in my pocket or your pocket?
Oh, fuck him in my pocket. Dude.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
depending on who you're asking,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's the pocket
yeah.
of whoever you're asking.
Yeah.
But that's the concept. People don't understand that. They always try to, like, you know. So anyway, back to the whole story of the opportunities. It's the same thing, right? We were working on this other one, which was Latin Talks. And Latin Talks is funny because it's the same thing. A dude was coming, and it was on Instagram, and I kind of knew the dude, kind of didn't. We were just following each other. He was going to Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and Austin. And I was like, why aren't you coming to El Paso? If it's called Latin Talks and you want to do that, you know, all these other places, they have Latinos. We have 80% Latinos. What's going on here, you know?
Yeah.
And he wanted to talk, and he's like, hey, let's talk and let's see what's going to happen. And then I thought about it. I was like, God damn it, dude. I just realized, what if he wants me to pay for half of the event? I don't have the money for the event. And I wasn't going to take the call. And I was like nervous, right? Again, opportunities, right? Most people will be like, I'm too nervous. I don't want to show up. I don't want to do this. And then they don't. And then they let the call go through, or they just, oh, I forgot. I was with my kids. I didn't have internet. You know, let's talk another time. So I get on the call, and he ends up coming. So TED Talks was the week before, and then I had Latin Talks. So we were 2 weeks out from Latin Talks, 1 week out from TED Talk, right? And we had done a training with the city of Socorro, which they had reached out to me because of Instagram. I got to train them and charge them money to train their staff from an Instagram post for the city of Socorro. And most marketing companies here will never get to train a city. You know what I mean? And this was all through Instagram. So we had done work for them, and then they reach out to me and they're like, hey, what do you think about doing like coverage for the event for marketing, right? Like, it's non-paid, blah, 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 but like you guys will get to put your name on it and stuff. We're like, yeah, for sure, whatever, right? And so me and John were talking about it. I was like, oh, dude, it would be cool to be like on TED Talks. But like, and I turned to him, I'm like, bro, like, I can't do this though, because we have Latin Talks 2 weeks from now, and I have to prepare for that. And I've never done this before. So like, I need to make sure that it's good. And
so your first talks were like 1 week away from each other, pretty much. It was
big
the first one,
big
and
ones,
then
yes.
the big ones.
Yes, big ones where it's like an actual stage and people are just like staring. You know what I mean? Not like what are they called, like workshops or things like that. Because
people that are looking to go and change their life.
Yeah, well, we did. Well, one of the first ones we did was Thrive in Your City, right? And that one was like 80 to 100 people showed up, but it wasn't like on a stage, right? It was just kind of like we put chairs in a room and stuff, and like people showed up. So it's like we had a stage, but it was like just normal floor, right?
Yeah.
So this one was more professional, and so. I tell John everything, and I just want, like, it's more of a respect thing, right? Because if I'm just like, I'm not going to do it, and he's like, you should have done it, it's like, he might never say it, but he's going to respect me less, right? So I'm like, dude, I hope you understand. I have this other one. I don't think I can do this, but I'm going to tell him, like, let's see, maybe next year, right? Because they might do it next year. So I message this dude back, and I say, hey, next year, what are you guys looking for speakers? I want to throw my name in there. I know there's no time right now. I get it, but, like, what about next year? And he hits me back in like 5 minutes. He's like, actually, one person just canceled. Do you want to be the last speaker? And I was like, fuck.
Damn.
And I was like, absolutely, yes, I will be the last. You know
So
what I mean?
it's like destiny. It's like having you fucking, you know what? You're going to be there.
But it's funny because, so very similarly, the guy that's doing Latin Talks, his name's Peter. He's doing a financial conference in Miami. And he reached out and we were talking and he's like, hey, like I need some help with this. And what do you think about this? And blah, blah, blah. And he goes, why don't you put like a consulting package for me? And then do you know who Ryan Pineda is?
I don't.
He's the dude with like the blue hair that's like on YouTube. Kind of looks like Asian Mexican dude. Does a lot of like house flippings and stuff like that.
Okay,
Anyway,
okay,
super
okay.
big dude, right? But like in the real estate side of YouTube. And then there's this other chick called Cody Sanchez, and she's blowing up right now. And she's a woman, and she like talks about business and stuff. Both of them are going to be on the stage. So I was like, oh, dude, that'll like increase my credibility if I get on there.
Right.
So I tell Peter, and this is, again, back to opportunities and how you get a lot of these things. I was conversating with Peter, and then we were in the last, like, I knew the conversation was going to end. And most people, what they do is they go, you know what, I'll bring it up later, blah, blah, blah. And I could feel that I didn't want to ask. But he's like, why don't you send me a proposal, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, cool, I can do that. Also, is there any speaking time that, if it's 5-10 minutes that I could get on stage? And he's like, well, let me think about it and I'll let you know. But now it's,
Yeah, the fact
Now
that you
that
asked,
shot your
now
shot,
it's-
you shoot
the
your shot.
idea-
You shoot
Dude,
your
you
shot.
got to shoot your
the
shot.
idea is
That's
in
the
the air,
thing.
you know.
That's
Damn.
the thing. And in
that's-
business, I think that most people like are used to it with like women and men, and you know what I mean, like the whole dating thing.
Yeah,
But most
yeah.
people aren't used to it in business, and it's so much worse in business.
Man, that's what, you know what? That's something that I've always told my team throughout this whole time that we've been podcasting. Because when we started, with me and Chris back then, it was just interviews, just friends, right?
Yeah.
But we always obviously wanted to interview like notable people and shit, and it was just about, dude, just doing it.
Yeah.
Like, dude, just shoot your shot. What's
slide
the
it-
worst you
slide
could
in the
get?
DM,
It's
just
a
slide in that
no, and
DM.
that's just that. But eventually, you just asking. You're already in the process. You're already in this person's mind, thinking like, hey, there's a new show coming up. But yeah, even till now, it's like, dude, shoot your shot. You never know. We might have never done what we're looking to do,
Those
but
are all the DMs we're gonna shoot our shots.
yeah.
to.
Like, we have a list. Yeah, we get all into
Yeah,
that.
peep your name. Peep your name. if you see that.
Zoom in
You
and
can't
shit.
see it, but we got you.
But
No, yeah, like back to it, bro. Honestly, like I appreciate you telling me to take my shot because, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's most of the time, like, let's say the worst thing that's going to happen, they're going to ignore you. Like, most people don't.
you just take a loss and on to the next one.
yeah,
you know?
and that's happened a
And-
lot to us, man.
yeah,
We've reached
and
out
it
to so many
happens.
people, and either we they say like, oh yeah, let me check you guys out, and then we don't hear from them again. But that just shows that like, hey, at least we tried, right? I'd rather fucking go through life and be like, hey, what, like, at least I tried than like what could have been. Like,
Yeah.
because growing up, I was so scared of taking new opportunities, whether it was a new job or even asking a girl out or something. And at the end of it, like, I grew up and I'm thinking like, fuck,
Yeah.
how different would my life would have been. But going back to these talks, man, how do you feel about them now? Is it something you enjoy doing, or is there something that you prefer not to do? Because you're actually very good at it, man. I think your communication skills is something that is very notable when it comes to your business, because you could totally kind of put like a vision or what you're talking about. You could let anybody kind of understand it to a T.
Sort of. I think that one of the things, I don't know, because it's starting to change, right? Like, I think the older you get, the more that you start realizing that you're good at different things, right? But when I was in my 20s, I was like, communication's like my superpower. You know what I mean? Like, I know how to talk to different people in different ways, and engineers have a different language that they prefer, which is like very direct, right? And if you give them anything like extra, they just tear you apart. And I'm like, somebody else might be like, they want extra details.
It's a lot of psychology when it comes to it.
So now that I'm in my 30s right now, it's funny you said that. I think it's psychology,
Hey.
because I used to take a lot of psychology in like high school and stuff. And so I realized, especially like social media and marketing and branding and everything, it's just human psychology. And it's basically what makes people tick, what makes people stop, why do they watch the video, why do they not, what are they getting out of it. Let's say that I don't get millions of views, but I get 3 people that could buy my product to watch that video. They'd be like, this guy's so smart, oh my god, that makes sense, blah blah blah. So it's like you start really kind of looking at like the different patterns
Right.
that really make things work in your favor, like the commissions thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most people will always be stuck in selling a specific thing, and then they create something new, and then that thing is still not going to make them enough money. I start very, like, the thing with me is like pain, right? So I'm like, I'm not making enough.
Right.
What makes more money? And so like even in sales, people will be like, oh, let me sell, speakers for somebody, right? And for every speaker I sell, they're going to give me half of it, right? So it's like, okay, what's a $50 speaker? I'm keeping 25. It's like, okay, well, the next progression would be something like real estate, because if you sell a house, you can get like $2 to $5 grand, right? The next progression would be to start selling
raising
planes.
the bar, yeah.
Start selling planes. You know what I mean? If you sell a jet, you're
Yeah.
probably gonna make a cool
Yeah.
like 200,000. You know what I mean? So it's like most people just never make that
Right.
progression. You know?
Well, it's kind of like, it's like how the way you're saying it is like choosing the same method, but it's just like like using it in a different form.
Yeah, in higher ways. Exactly.
So I got a question for you. For somebody like myself, right? Like I told you earlier, and in last episode, I told everybody that I was going to school. A lot of people don't know this, but I'm going to school for digital marketing, right? And so becoming and doing something that, like, what you're doing, for somebody like me, what kind of advice would you give them?
I would say look at how the world works, not what they tell you in a book.
Okay.
Because I mean, you can read a lot of books, and the thing is that like you might, especially with authors that just kind of make it, it's all their perception of the world, right? So right now I was watching or reading this book called Steal Like an Artist, and that one I already know the concept, but I just need to read new books to kind of get new ideas, right? The whole purpose is like basically if you're going to steal, make sure that you steal in a way that nobody knows you're stealing.
If you're gonna do something, be good at it.
Exactly. And so in that book, he says something like, be sure you promote, but don't over promote. And I was like, yeah, that's fucking stupid to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it does sound pretty dumb.
yeah. And so he's basically saying like supply and demand. The more that you promote, the less people are going to care. Right. But that applies like even on Instagram, right? If I post 2 times a week, my reels are going to get higher reach because it's like a scarcity thing. It's like, oh yeah, he's not posting every day. The moment that I become too available, people are like, oh, I can just like his next day and he just posted one. Does this guy ever stop? And there's so much that goes behind it, right? But what he's saying more or less is just that. Like if you post a lot, like people are just not going to care anymore. But if somebody only goes on Monday and I posted on Sunday, will they see it? Probably not. And if they went on Tuesday and I posted on Sunday, will they see it? No. So even though I might get more views, right, in the long term, I don't get as much exposure. And so that's why it's a thing of being seen everywhere at all times. Most people are just afraid of it because when you're seen everywhere at all times, you're judged very harshly, and people don't want that.
Well, people learn to love it eventually, right? It's like it kind of gets to that point, right? Like when you're seeing it a lot of times, whether you like the first time that you saw it, you see it again the next day, which is something different, but it's the same person.
People are gonna hate you regardless.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the problem. It's
Yeah,
like
haters are gonna
How do you
hate.
deal with that? Now that you brought up the whole hater shit, how do you deal with it? Because I'm sure in somebody in your position, man, and you've been involved with a lot of people, very important people, but also like you've done Forbes and you've been featured in a lot of other places. There's people out there that see it and then they'd be like, oh, this guy's not real, or how do you deal with all that?
it's difficult, but it's one of those things where it's like you have to really just check like why you're even mad, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So there's certain people that I've commented like on FitFam, you know, and then I go like in the like there was a guy that was like go home or whatever, and I was like cara de nopal holding a sign or whatever. I was like you freaking Mexican, you know?
Yeah,
And people were like fake ass 4-person, you know, like they were commenting like mean comments. And, you know, it's one of those things where it's like you have to really look. And one time I got checked because I was arguing with someone, right? And they're like, bro, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm 18 and I'm trying to do my homework and my phone's blowing up.
Damn.
And I was like, there's your reality check of haters, you know? Like,
You're getting all into it, and the next thing you know, you find out it's like some 15-year-old.
Exactly,
like.
that you're fighting with. And it's like, why? So I've been on Forbes, I've done all these things, and I'm fighting with the 15-year-old
Right.
who's stupid, you know? It's not him, like, it's me, you know?
Who's the dumb one right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Damn, that's crazy, man. Well, before we go on break, man, I love talking to you. I think everything you're saying is great. Before we go on break, please let everybody know where they could find you and follow you, man.
Yeah, Instagram's the easiest at I am RUBEN ALVAREZ. If you like try to get my number and send me a text, you'll be ignored. But if you send me a DM on Instagram, like I'll respond to you.
And you know what's funny, man, is I had that. I was actually planning on asking somebody that knows you if I could have your number. But then I thought too, like, let me first try IG. And the fact that you answered pretty much right away, I was thinking like, holy shit, this guy is an addict to IG, bro.
Well, it's not even that. It's that on Instagram, I can open it and then I slide and then it says unread. And on text, I barely found out you can do unread on text on Apple. But when you slide, you have delete and mute. Mm-hmm. And the way that you do it is that basically you have to hit the 3 buttons at the top. And then it says select messages. You select the message and then it says mark as unread.
Que hueva.
Exactly.
Damn,
exactly.
bro, just get a Samsung, guys.
Exactly.
Like, fuck. Bro, I'm telling you guys.
Oh
It's,
my god,
Bro,
see
did
what
you know-
started, bro?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just want to throw this in. Did you know Samsung made airplanes and like all this shit? I went on a loophole. Like some guy was just saying all this shit. Like there's a hospital, a Samsung hospital in
Dude, if I ever got injured, I
Seoul?
wouldn't go to that hospital, dude.
Yeah. Well, they
No,
make
bro.
really good stuff.
Dude,
just
the
shitty
tech,
phones.
yeah,
Shit.
hell no. But besides
I mean,
the
I've never heard anybody buy a fucking Samsung airplane, dude.
because they discontinued it, but they have a car and everything. And dude, it's pretty crazy, bro. Because I saw a tractor and I was like, what the fuck, Samsung tractor? And I went on a loophole, bro. TikTok will get you, bro.
Yeah.
Hard.
Hey, so before we go on break, one last question, man. I know. Most people would have to pay for a consultation like this, but what social media would you recommend somebody to use if they're starting a business or they're just trying to get more followers and stuff like that?
It really depends, dude, because it's all in like your end goal and then the customer that you're trying to get. Like right now, you're like, oh, I just want views, right? Just views. not TikTok, YouTube did like this really big thing on their platform, which they only talked about how you can get a short form video, right? Like a 60-second video, and then you can put a little link and it'll link them to the main long video now, which is a game changer. That's what they said they changed.
On YouTube?
On YouTube. That's what they said they changed. But we've been posting on YouTube for our clients, and all the reels or all the shorts or whatever, they're getting like 5 to 6 times more views than they were before after this change. So I'm like, they're trying.
YouTube is the game now.
They're trying to get more. They're trying to go after TikTok again because they're probably right.
Yeah,
but they're not gonna say it. So if you wanted only views right now, I'd say that. But like 3 months from now, it's like, well, which one would you use? And I would say like, well, I don't know, like. Are you trying to go after Gen Z? Go on TikTok. Are you trying to go after business owners? Go on LinkedIn. You know what I mean? Are you trying to get only clout? Go on Instagram, right?
Kevin, I hope you're writing all this shit down, dude. Well, there it is, guys. We're gonna go ahead and take a quick break, and when we come back, man, I'm gonna ask our boy Ruben about the future of Marketing Hunters. We have some trending topics. Football season's about to start. I want to hear what Ruben has to say about all this, guys. Before everything else, it's just a big shout out to our sponsor Kino over at Palace Media Marketing and Studio One. They're gonna be relocating soon, guys, so please make sure you guys are following them on IG and get all that information there. And yeah, guys, we'll be right back right after this.
Hey, I'm Ruben Alvarez, and you're watching The Takeover Show.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Episode number 5. Kevin, give us a round of applause with the boy Ruben Alvarez. Yeah. That's him right here, man. Hey, one more time, bro. Thank you so much for giving us your time. I know you're a very, very busy man. I'm so glad that we were able to do this. Like I said, I'm going to school, and hopefully I could become somebody like you or even better.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks again.
Now with the word hopefully.
Damn it, Kevin, write all this shit down. Don't say hopefully ever again. But thanks again, man. For everybody listening and watching, guys, please make sure you guys are subscribing to our YouTube page, following us on IG, TikTok, we're also on Spotify, Amazon Music, anywhere you could get your podcast. We're there. You guys make sure you guys are following. So, man, you've been giving us a lot of great tips about everything. I love what you do. What I'm really impressed is your way of speaking, man. I know you were into psychology, but when did you realize that, hey, like, I'm really good at what especially speaking to someone? When did you find that out?
I don't know. That's a hard one. It's just, I think that I take a lot from visual cues, right? So if I know somebody like getting bored or getting, you know what I mean? Then I'm like, okay. And then sometimes like I talk to people about something and automatically I'm like, they light up about that. So I'm like, all right, let's more feed into that, you know?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think it's kind of like that. Public speaking, I think, is really hard because that one you have to appeal more to like the mass emotions, you know, more than like the physical cue emotions. So and that falls into like storytelling and things like that because we all love stories. And then it's like, what drama can I cause in the story? How can I exaggerate something? How can I make it so that, like, for example, I'm telling a story, let's say on like death of a family member, right? It's like, how many people do I think will attract to that versus like how many people can I attract to like just the pain of like stubbing my toe, you know, or whatever. It's like it's all just things that I think through repetition and just going through like books and life and everything, as long as you're just not letting everything be random, you kind of learn it.
That's great, man. I take I'm gonna be watching this video over and over. It's just taking notes as much as I can. And if you're watching this, guys, please share this shit as much as you can. But I've been wanting to ask you, what's the future of the Marketing Hunters, man? Where are you guys? What's your goal in the next few years?
Marketing Hunters, I don't know. It's kind of like, it started off as like what we were talking about, like the commissions thing, right? Like just to make more money. And then I realized that there's an opportunity to help people, right, and better their lives. So now it's like we have our team, and our team is our team, right? And it's funny because I don't know if this is exactly true or not, but I think that it would be very hard to steal somebody from my team unless you were to be like, hey, I'll pay you double what they were paying you. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that they would go and I would understand, right? Because it's like, I can't pay you double.
Kevin, write that shit down too, Kevin.
Yeah. But the hardest part of Marketing Hunters and leaving it is that like our culture is so good, and it's because I've worked so many bad jobs that I was like, I'm not going to create another bad job. And so, you know, somebody had their family get sick and they're like, hey, I'm sorry, like I'll be in tomorrow. And I was like, you don't have to apologize to me. Like, that's the whole reason why I created the company, so that you don't have to fucking apologize, knowing that your family member is sick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because most other places would be like, are you coming in tomorrow? Are you coming in? It's like, bro, your fucking family's.
I respect that a lot, man. I've like you, I've worked a lot of different jobs where I've worked for somebody. I've had a lot of cool managers, you know, and some really bad ones. But the ones that I've always cherished, and like even to this day that I still communicate with, are the ones that actually cared for their employees. I've always knew that, like, if I was to start a business, is yeah, you know, take care of your customers, but mostly take care of your employees.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're doing that, man, shit, makes me want to work with you even more. Shit, Kevin, write that shit down.
No, but so it goes both ways, right? Because same thing. If I have an employee who's screwing over the team, I make it very apparent. I go, hey, look, like right now you're screwing all of us, and I'm not gonna stand for that. Like, and I fired somebody like recently within the last like 3 or 4 months. I fired somebody and hired someone new, and
God bless, dude.
And so you should have a counter on like on the screen, right? That's like, and it's like,
dude, I shit you not. We recorded 2 days ago, the other day, with my sister, and twice, just like how it happened.
That's what I'm saying.
Today.
You should have like a Chewy's phone counter, right? And it's like, bing, and every time it falls,
we should have a whole segment of Chewy fucking dropping his phone, and that's all we'll do is just him dropping his phone. But
no, but yeah, I mean, it's even with our team, it's if somebody's screwing over the whole team, like, I have to get rid of them, and I know that. And then people know that we're not joking around. It's like I care about you, but I care about all of us before I care about you, right? Because if you don't care about us, why should I care about you, right? Because if it's a conflict between me or you, that's different, right? Like, you don't like me, I don't like you, that's fine. But if you're like, if you don't want to work, if you're dropping the ball,
why are you here?
And then, well, not even that, but let's say that one person's screwing up, right? And when I lose a customer, right? What's that going to do to me? Either I take a profit loss, let's say that they still do it again, and then I lose another customer. I can only take a profit loss for so long before what happens. I have to
out of customer.
I have to either fire someone, or I have to lower everybody's pay. And since we're a family, it's probably going to be lower everybody's pay. If you're making us lose customers, how's it fair to everybody else?
Yeah. One person can affect the whole team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're affecting the whole team, I get fucking pissed.
Yeah.
Because then I say, hey, I'll take a profit loss. That's fine. I'll go to 0. After 0, somebody's getting fired.
Yeah.
Right? And it's probably going to be you. And if it's not you, that means that we're all going to get paid less. And guess what? Everybody's going to be pissed. They're not going to be happy. We're not going to be a happy family because everybody's taking a profit, you know? So that's one of those things where it's like you have to really look out for your people, but at the same time, they need to be looking out for you. But not in a way where it's like, oh, you know what? Like, you were supposed to be here on Monday, right? And you were in a car accident and you couldn't be here. Who cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're supposed to be here at 8 a.m. And dude, I deal with John. I hate, like, to me, it's more personal that I hate people being late, right?
Yeah.
And John, and I can say this because this is literally John and he knows this. And we even have a rolling joke that, like, there's a train by our office and we're just like, was it the train again, John? You know? And he just won't get there on time. And I had to let go of it eventually where I was like, I was thinking a few times, like, I need to let him go. And I don't think that maybe I even mentioned this, but John, I wasn't thinking like that I'm actually going to let him go. But it was more like the mentality of like, should I let this guy go? He's not on time. Like,
right.
You know what I mean?
You're thinking business side.
Exactly. And then I got to a point where I realized, like, how much is it affecting me? Right? Like, is it affecting me? Is it affecting the team? Are people being affected? Or is it something that I just really don't like? And whether he gets there on time or not, it's not affecting anything else.
Do you take into consideration, like, the amount of work that he does? Like, how it would be with him in the company?
No, and he does.
without?
He sees it that way. He sees, like, if I'm late, I'll just stay later. Yeah. I don't see it that way. I see it, is it affecting anyone else? And he's not affecting anyone else. So it was only affecting my ego. And
you see that, Chewy? This is why I don't get mad at you, you know, because it's affecting my ego. I'm getting mad at you when you're late because it's affecting all of us, all right?
Exactly. So, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, if it's affecting everybody, then you need to be mad. If it's only you and you're just like, por mis huevos, you know what I mean? Then there's a problem.
Yeah. So for those, like, for those that are watching or listening and they have a business and they're looking to hire someone, in your opinion and your advice, what's your method of hiring somebody?
There's a few things, and this one's Dean Ennis. Dean was the one that actually told me this, but obviously you're going to look for character and heart and all this other stuff, right? But it's funny, like, Daida, who's my assistant, shout out to Daida, Ruben's assistant, which she hates. But no, with her, you know, I could say something like, you should be asking a lot of questions and you should seem interested in the job. She came in and we were talking about her interview yesterday, which is really funny. And she's like, what do you rate me on an interview? And I was like, you were a 5.
Damn.
And she's like, why? And she got so mad because she thought she did really great. And I was like, well, it's not that you weren't confident. It's that you were quiet. You seem shy, and that's not a good thing to have during an interview. And I was like, and the second thing is that you didn't ask a lot of questions. So, like, I would ask you something, and then you would answer very small, and then it would be done. And then when I asked you, is there any questions, you said no. And so by that standard, if I had a standard, I'd be like, I don't want to hire her.
So somebody that would ask a lot of questions to you would seem somebody that's very interested.
Exactly. But again, I hired her anyway. Right? Because my only real standard that I have right now is, does this person kind of seem okay? Right? Dean told me make sure that whoever comes into your office, you send them to do something and see how fast they do it and if they do it. So we send out a personality test. After they leave, I don't say anything. And then I send it to them and I go, hey, by the way, can you answer this? And then they send it back. And if they send it back and how fast they send it back, or if they have like a good reason, they're like, oh, I was driving, whatever, right? Then I'm like, all right, cool. So she did that. And then the second thing that you have to be willing to ask yourself is, am I willing to fire this person if I don't like them? Most people never ask that. They just say, I'm going to hire them. It's really hard to fire someone.
No, yeah, that's a good point. No, yeah, for sure.
And if you're not willing to fire them, don't hire them.
Yeah.
Right? So I said, okay, I'm willing to take a chance on her. She seems really creative. She seems really smart. But if it doesn't work out within 1 to 2 days, I'm going to fire her. And I know that, right? And I'm just going to be like, hey, thank you for coming in. You know what? We're looking for something different. I'm sorry that it didn't work out. But you know what? And then this is something new that I found out. So that there's no animosity. Whenever I fire someone, I give them extra, which no one else does, no matter how long you work for me. Like,
that's good.
If
that's
I would
actually good.
That's love right there.
Yeah.
If I would have, sort of, but it also protects you because then the person can't, like, even if they do start talking shit, they look stupid, right?
Yeah.
And most of us were worried about that. They were worried that like they're gonna go off on a tangent, that they're gonna flip the tables, blah blah blah, right? So if she had worked for me for 2 days, right, I would probably give her like $100-$200 extra, which would probably be about the same that she made in those 2 days, right? Because then at that point they can't make a big fit. They're like, no, screw you, right? I'm like, hey, look, I'm gonna have to let you go, but I'm gonna give you, whatever you made in these 2 days, I'm gonna double it. They're gonna be like, well, screw you, but yes, absolutely, yeah. I think I should leave really nicely. And
Screw
quiet.
you, but thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. So yeah, you just have to have little like contingencies.
So it's mostly like the type of character that a person is, in your opinion.
Yes, and
it's
then
more important.
And then if they really fit the description of what you're trying to get out of that person, really right. And so even though she had bad interview skills, I felt like she was a creative, and what I needed for that position was a creative. And so even though I have somebody who's coming in and there's more polished, I have somebody who's giving me all the right answers and asking questions and everything, they could be really good, but they might not be a creative. So then I hire them, and they do everything that I say, and they're always on time, and they do this, and that, but they don't know how to be creative. I have to fire them.
There's no extra coming from them. Damn, that's what I love, man. That's Kevin. Thank God you're not writing and we're recording. That's awesome, dude. So real quick, in 5 years' time, where do you want to see yourself?
Public speaking.
Public speaking.
Yes.
The only thing that you want to be doing is public speaking.
Well, no, the marketing company will still be there, right? It's just you really have to look at any business and say, like, how am I going to make money from this, right? And so a marketing company, the thing that's really difficult about it is that in order to get over $1 million per se, you need a lot of overhead. And so most people think like, oh, having a service-based business is awesome because I can make a lot of money, right? And so, for, like, I'll give you an example. You know that what are they called? Unbox Therapy.
Okay.
On YouTube. Have you seen that guy?
No. What is that?
Okay. He gets electronics or like laptops and stuff. I'm sure you've seen him. He kind of like has like a shaved head, but he has a little bit of hair. And he's like, hey guys, what's up? Like today we have this laptop and blah blah. We're gonna open it, and then he opens it, and then there's like a top screen view, and then he like moves everything.
So he reviews and
he
all that,
reviews.
yeah.
There's 3 people on his team. When he started, it was 2.
What?
Unbox Therapy. Yeah, they're making probably. I think when I saw it, they were netting like 12 to 15 million a year. 3 people. There's profit there. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like if you share it and you pay a few people, you're still making a lot of money. Marketing companies, you need a certain amount of people for how many customers you have. So it's like, how do I make more money? I can raise my prices, but I can only raise them so much. So then at some point, let's say for $1 million, you're going to need about 30 people, which means that I'm going to only be able to make so much profit. Okay, I want to make more. I'm going to have to hire double the people to make double the
So
profit.
to make more, you hire more.
Exactly. And at some point, it's a big headache because it's so many customers. Okay? So it's not that I don't like the marketing company.
It'd be
that-
easiest.
Exactly. So I'm going for something that's going to give me freedom, or else if not, I'm going to be the CEO. I'm going to have to be keeping looking at night and stuff, right?
That's pretty smart, but at the same time, you're actually extremely good at it, right? Like, because if you think about it, like if somebody was to kind of take that same road and say like, well, how can I do it and make it easier on myself? I feel like it'd be a lot harder if you don't have the skills to do it. And I think in your position, I think you being a great speaker and then seeing that you're really good at that, then aiming and using that skill to, progress and raise the bar. I think that's something people should really look at, right? What are you good at?
Yes, and then if there's something that you are even decently good at and it can make you money, just learn how to do it. So when I was doing my first talk, I was nervous, right? And I was like, okay, what am I going to talk about? Right? And so the same as all of us, how am I going to start it, right? And so then I have these things that I do, right? For example, if I get depressed and it's all going to tie around, trust me, right? Like, but if I get depressed, or like, let's say that I get stressed for too many days,
Right.
and I don't go to the gym and I go to a kickboxing gym, right? And I don't beat the shit out of a bag, I implode. And basically, like at night, like I start getting a lot of fear and I start worrying, I start getting anxiety. If I have one stressful day, I have to go to the gym, I beat the shit out of the bag, right? Normal. Okay. So with like public speaking, I know what I need to do in order to public speak right if I don't feel like I know what I'm doing. And that is basically I need to pick up information and read a book by people who are good public speakers that tell you what to do. Before my talk, I was like, okay, I don't know what to talk about, and I was freaking out. And then I was like, all right. And I already started writing my talk. And luckily, within like an hour after starting my talk, I didn't know what I was going to talk about. I was like, wait a minute, why don't I just read a book on this? And so I read the book, and the one thing that I took out from that book was don't write a public talk based on what you think people want to hear from you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or like, don't write it based on what you think, like, oh, I need to tell them
What they
this.
expect.
Exactly. There's one thing that if everyone in the audience, they're all like, we know that dude, we've heard of him, we would wish he would have talked about that. And so when you think about that, you're like, okay, I'm going to go on stage. They probably really want to know about this. And talk about that, and it's easy.
Damn. So that's really good, man. So you said you read a lot, right? Mm-hmm. So before we get into our trending topics and everything else, can you give us like some of your best books that you would recommend to somebody to read?
That's hard because
I mean, it doesn't have to be one book, but what are some books that you've read that like you took a lot of advice or tips from?
Oh, dude, there's so many. Like 10X Rule by Grant Cardone is just a stupidly great book, right? And it's just it destroys like your limited thinking, right? Because you might think, oh, I want to do 100,000 a year, and he's like, well, why don't you want to do $1 million?
Damn.
And so it's like, well, yeah, you're right. Like realistically, you're right. It's like, well, I want to do $1 million. It's like, well, if you're going for $1 million, why don't you want to do 10 million?
Oh shit.
Well, you're right.
You limit yourself sometimes. Yeah,
but it's always by tens. It's always by tens. Okay, I'm gonna become a millionaire and I'm gonna make 5 calls today. Well, why aren't you making 50? Right? And it's that limited mindset. It's that limited mindset of like.
What was that book again called?
The 10X Rule.
The 10X Rule.
Yeah, Grant Cardone. Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That was a really good one. And it's kind of like the paradox of choice. You give somebody too many choices and they choose nothing. And so the subtle art of not giving a fuck is like you care and you give too many fucks about everything. And when you give too many fucks about everything, like nothing really matters, So it's basically saying like be selective with what you actually care about, right? And so I think that I've become better of that over the years. But like me with this jacket, right? It's hot as shit outside. It's like 94, 97 degrees.
But you look fucking good, dude.
No, but again, I'm like, oh, people are thinking like, oh, why is this guy wearing a fucking jacket? It's fucking hot out. He looks fucking stupid. Like, you see, that's how we all think. That's how we all
people
think.
Judge, yeah.
Yeah, we all think like, oh my god, like no, you know what? I'm gonna let me just get a t-shirt on, or like, oh, you know what? Like I'm wearing all black and it's hot. If people are gonna think like, oh, this guy's stupid. Why is he wearing all black? So like we all know it. We're all thinking the same things. But it's too many things to care about, It's way too many things to care about. Now I'm like, dude, is one hair out of place? No? Okay, cool. I look fucking good. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's rock. Who
Don't-
cares?
Yeah. Don't push yourself.
Don't think about it too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's another really good book. One of my favorite books, so this is a marketing book. It's called The Attention Merchants. This one it's not going to give you the exact outline of what marketing is, but it gives you a lot of examples of what works in marketing, like on a big scale. It talks about like MTV and how MTV was failing with music videos. And they're like, what are we going to do? And they're like, no, music videos are going to be around forever. And so MTV would have failed a long time ago, the way that Blockbuster failed, right?
Yeah.
And I guess they hired some new CEO, and he's like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do the
Reality
real
shows.
world. We're going to do the real world. And when he did the real world, he realized that that's what worked, and then he kept it going.
Jersey Shore and all that.
Exactly.
You got to evolve.
Exactly. So that was one of them. But it also talks about like Hitler. And this is kind of like controversial, and I've talked about it like on a few shows. But it talks about how Hitler, the thing that he did that made a lot of people, because we always go like, why didn't people stop him, right?
He was a great speech guy. He would
No, so there was more behind it. That's what I'm saying. You got to read this book, because it was like everything that he did was to make it seem like he was right, and that people. So what he would do is he would have these talks, like let's say that where I'm at, right, and how the table is, he would have them in these like long buildings where like there were streets. That way people couldn't see anything around. All they could focus on is looking forward.
Wow.
So that was one thing. Then he would get these big ass flags, right? Like, and he would make them super tall, so that way people are like in glory of like, oh my God, what is this, right?
You just walked into the Nazi group. Yeah.
And then he would have people that were already there mixed with people who were like new. And whenever he would walk on stage, he would make sure that everybody was clapping, right? So it's like psychologically, this dude was just priming you to be like, who the fuck is it? He must be right.
Right, yeah.
Right? There's these big ass flags. We've never heard of him. You can only face one way, so you can't be distracted. And then the moment that everybody sees him, everybody goes crazy. Why am I not going crazy?
So everyone kind of bandwagons like the situation.
Exactly. And so we were talking about like certain things that like we can do ourselves, right? Like
Manipulation.
exactly. There's TikToks, right, where like people pretend to be celebrities, and like the moment that you get like 4 or 5, everybody's like, oh, who? And then they start taking pictures with them. Oh, I'm this new celebrity, blah blah. blah, right? And
That's
so
true. Yeah.
yeah,
fake
and so
Drake
there's
and shit.
yeah, and so that's kind of what that book is, The Attention Merchants. It talks about a lot of these like past stories of what people did. And so it's one of those that like it's not going to give you like the marketing tactic, right? It's not going to say like
I mean,
seem
it gives you
bigger than life.
it gives you a history and an idea of like how it was used back then.
Yeah.
But
Coca-Cola, Xerox, all those.
That's crazy. Actually, I had to do an essay on Cartoon Network on like how big they were back in like the late 90s and early 2000s, and then how it died off and why it died off. And what I also saw is the fact that a lot of these companies, like how you said, it depends on like who's running it, is how they don't like to evolve. They don't like to change, right? And now that we're talking about that, I want to ask you, especially in marketing and stuff like that, advertising, all that changes as time changes. Social media came to be, like 15, 20 years ago. Now there's AI coming through. What are your thoughts on AI and all that?
It's complex, because the hardest thing with AI, and we were talking about this the other day, is that I don't know how AI is going to be able to tell a story like if I'm telling the story, right? So the more information that there is on the internet and everything, they'll be able to see, right? But I don't think there's enough information on the internet to be able to captivate a story the same way that we would tell that story, to be able to say like, hey, when I was
For somebody to relate to it?
sort of, but no, because people can relate to stories, right? But the actual experience that I went through, how would it know? So if I right now want to relate with somebody, I might say like, hey, I'm going through a really dark, depressive state in my life. I don't know if you've ever been through this, but like it really reminds me of when my cousin killed himself, and he was 18 and he was like my brother, and everything was ripped away from me. And so I get it. Like most of us can be that depressed at times because we realize that the world is really cruel. How would AI know that I went through that?
Hey, AI would not see it as a human feeling.
Well, they might, because it eventually might be tweaked enough. But I'm saying is like your life is not all on the internet. We haven't been recorded all of our lives for it to say this is what you went through.
Fully understand.
That he would understand, because it was a very specific part in your life. And so AI can write like it's somebody, but when you say, can you write about the time I was in 4th grade and I like pissed my pants?
Yeah, I get
It'd
it.
be like, I don't understand. What do you mean?
Who was there? What was the
Exactly.
climate outside?
Yeah,
Like, what was the
exactly.
teacher wearing? What was
Exactly.
the smell? Like, how many kids, how many girls, you know.
So if somebody
Damn,
was
that makes a lot of sense.
if somebody
man.
was to ask you, are you a yay or nay for AI? What would you say?
No, I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Do you use AI?
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do in the marketing company. But it's, to me, there's this example of like in the 1800s when electricity came to be, there was an ad, right? Like people took out on the newspaper, and I've been trying to find it, but I can't find it. But it's funny. They were
The dangers of
dude. They were so
the
against
dangers
it.
of it.
But the
like,
way that they
you
said
could
it,
electrocute yourself.
no,
or-
the ad said something like electricity, it comes from the devil or something like that, and it was like
damn.
it was like the most dangerous thing to ever hit humanity. And then basically on the thing, there was like a guy that was like on the wires, and he was like all like electrocuted. So they tried to villainize it, you know what I mean, because it was new. And
That's
so,
what they're
like,
doing with AI right now.
and so they're trying to villainize it, and it's like every time that's like Y2K with the internet.
Right,
Remember
yeah.
Y2K?
Oh, shit, I
Yeah,
forgot about
2000.
Y2K. Remember that?
Yeah, in the 2000s.
I was at church that night, dude. I was at church waiting to fucking go to heaven.
So saying that same with AI. So you're saying these people striking, they're scared to use AI, or they're just not like.
They're not educated enough. They're thinking of it in a very, in my opinion, I think they're thinking of it in a more of a unreal way.
Yeah.
Right? Like when people think about AI, what is their first thought? In my opinion, is like, oh, they're gonna take over and they're gonna take over our jobs.
Yes.
Not just that, they're gonna fucking take over and they're gonna see that we're the disease in this world and they're gonna
Yeah.
want to kill us all.
Yeah, there's another book actually. It's called Crossing the Chasm, and that one actually explains kind of why people are lagging in AI. There's 5 segments of like technology that people fall into. There's a really early innovators, which are like 7%, and then the next one's like 12%. So only 20% of all people will adopt AI within like the first year or so, and then you have like the other 60 or 80%, which is like 30, and then like 20, and then 10 or some shit like that, right? Like it breaks into like the biggest, and then the second biggest, and then really like the end is like the smallest, right? Which is like 5% or something like that. But basically what it says is that, and it gets super like into it, but the first 7%, which are like the earliest adopters, they only adopt it because they want to be cool type of thing. And so once too many people adopt it, they're only looking to adopt new things, right?
The trend.
And so exactly. And so like once it's not trendy anymore, they don't like it because it's not a trend anymore,
Thank you,
right?
next.
Exactly. So we saw it with TikTok too, right? Like we might think like, oh no, it's AI, like people are just scared of it. It's really not that. It's human psychology all around. When TikTok came out, it's like it was for kids and then
Dancing.
Trump.
I told myself
and
I
they
would never get TikTok.
Exactly. And Trump's gonna ban it, and why even get on it? And they're stealing all of our secrets. And so there was all this, right? Like same thing. They're gonna take our jobs. Now before it was, they're gonna take our identities, and it's China, right? And everybody's on it now.
Yeah.
And during COVID, everybody was against it.
That,
Not
honestly,
just that, but all
that's-
the other platforms are trying to be like TikTok now.
And I'm not
shit.
gonna lie, I was so against it too. I was like,
Yes.
yeah, all this. But then, I don't know who caught me on it. I think it was Gary V, and he's like, "Don't go on TikTok. Don't go on the dancing section. There's a learning section."
Yeah.
And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "TikTok's basically made in China as a learning app capability." He's like, "Go on this," and the guy said, I think it was Gary V or something. He said, look this up, and then I looked it up, and they taught me how to like wash my clothes and fold them. And then he's like, now look this up, and they taught me how to fix my sink in 3 different ways. He's like, this is what it's meant for. Us Americans are using it as a dancing, a twerking platform.
Entertainment, yeah.
So I went on it, and I kind of learned how to like edit a little bit, but
Yeah.
I don't know how to do.
Yeah.
But I learned by searching.
So with everything that you see in life now, right? Look at that pattern. Whatever it is that comes out, try to see if you can be on the early side of it rather than the late side.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you noticed, but like the whole Threads thing, how you have the number or like when you joined, most after I think like 100 million or something like that, they don't even put they just put plus 100 million.
Yeah.
Mine's 790,000. And I felt like I was late because I took an extra day to think about it, and then I was like, "What the fuck am I doing?"
To
You know
this
what I mean?
day,
What the
I'm thinking
fuck?
about it. I want to join on it, but I'm already late. Like how you said,
But it doesn't matter.
the
Like,
100 plus already is not there.
but you have to change it. You can't
know
just
what
say
that
like
is?
I'm late. Get on it.
You know what that is?
No, I don't.
Threads.
It's
yeah.
Facebook and Metaverse's version of Twitter.
Yeah.
So, but the thing I don't hop on it is because I've heard a lot of people, you get on it and you lose. You're not following anybody. You're following.
No, yeah, you are. It
Yeah.
automatically does it for you. It's the best part of it.
I had like 3 or 4 or 5 friends that did it.
Yeah.
And they like had to refollow me. And I was like, what? And all of them on their stories were like, sorry, I tried this new threads thing that made me lose.
They don't know how they
I don't know.
They don't know
Mine
how to
didn't do
use
that.
it.
I thought it was easier to get
Fuck
freaking
you.
followers on
Yeah.
there than anywhere else. But yeah, no, it's you have to start. And the thing is that like most
Here we
people are like,
go.
oh, I'm gonna do it later. Or I'll do it. But it's like the moment that you made the decision to do it, the next time that you see something, you're like, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's one of those things where it's like we're all just waiting for the next platform. Honestly, trust
I'm
me.
not gonna lie. I'm waiting for the. Sorry to cut you off. I'm waiting for the goggles and stuff like that
Yeah.
already. Because you guys hyped it about it. I had a VR when Samsung first brought this out, like in 2012. It was super cool. I wonder how it looks now. Bro.
Yeah.
Like,
So I would say don't even look at like the actual thing. Look at how you can make money from the thing, right? Because it's like right now
putting the
I have,
podcast on VR or something.
dude, I have
be live here.
well, no, I have a ton of Snapchat stock. Even though like it might not do well or it might do well, but they invested a ton into VR and like the goggles or like the
The brand VR.
no, they have these
Oculus.
no, the fucking they have like sunglasses.
Yeah.
Sunglasses.
What?
Yes, but you know how Facebook had the little
Oculus?
no, they have the sunglasses that have a camera on it, so you can take like stories and stuff. That was their version of it. Snapchat's is different. Snapchat has built AR into the lenses. So right now I could be seeing you with like a hat. I could be seeing like planets and stuff. So they're built into that.
Shit.
They didn't
With,
take
like,
off
filters and shit,
Exactly. The way that they have like the little dogs, they were the first ones that
I
did
saw
AR.
Sony come up with glasses like
Exactly.
a long time ago, but
So-
they never hit. Like
so
you said.
if Snapchat hits, right, we're talking about like how can you make money with it. If Snapchat hits with any of these things, their stock is going to skyrocket. So that's what I'm saying. It's like if you look at the goggles and stuff, it's like who's making these goggles? Who's the person who's innovating the next thing? Who's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you start looking at like, oh, well, I should be investing in this company. Sony, they came out with the first Oculus ones, right? And it was for the PS4 or whatever. I bought the stock. It was at 32. And it went up to like $40 or something and started going down. Right now, Sony, because it's like there's certain companies that you think that they're just going to be around forever, right? Like Sony's probably one of them. I think they're like $90 on their stock. Like if you had bought like 100 stock or whatever, you'd be making 3 times your money, and it would have taken about like 5 to 7 years, right? But these are companies that you know that they're always innovating and stuff, you know? So it's like whenever you start looking at all this stuff, like cool stuff that's coming out and like AI, be like, oh my God, like a video AI that I told you, right? It's like, do they have a stock? And then if they do, just be like, okay, cool. Like, are these going to be around for a while? You know, it's like just buy a few pieces of stock. I have something like in Peloton as well. Peloton is in a big ass lawsuit and I might lose all my money. But I was talking to people and I was like, what do you guys think of Peloton? Do you think Peloton's going to make it? And somebody brought up a good point. They're like, what if Peloton uses the AR into their bikes? And now you're fucking doing your bike on a fucking hill, like the Tour de France, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, what if they do? Their stock would blow up. You know what I mean?
Dude, yeah.
So
Damn,
pretty cool.
that is crazy, man.
Peloton's the bikes, yeah.
The future is looking crazy. I think like in any business that you're doing, I think you need to keep evolving with the technology that's going through. But that is crazy. So this is what we're gonna do now, guys. We're gonna move on to the back end of this show. We're gonna get into some trending topics. I'm gonna start off with I know Mr. Alvarez here. He's not a big sports fan, but I know a lot of people watching and listening. Football season's about to start, guys. Kevin, give us a round of applause, Kevin. Being in El Paso, dude, I know that like most people are Cowboy fans.
Yes.
I'm a Chargers fan. I grew up as a Cowboy fan. All my family, you know, and I like the Cowboys right now. But
you became rational.
You like the Cowboys?
Yeah. I like the Cowboys. Well, the only reason why I say that is because I live in El Paso. So if I want to make sure that my car doesn't get slashed,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, like or anything like that. But no. I wanted to ask you. We talked off camera and stuff. You've never been a big sports fan.
No.
What's the reason for that? I feel like maybe like one day when you were small during like some like wall ball or dodgeball, you were picked last or something, and you're like, I'm not doing sports after this.
Sorry, I was what? What they do to my ass?
What's the reason?
They didn't put nothing in there. No, take the pickle out of there.
No, that they picked you last.
Yeah.
Oh, pick me last.
Yeah.
I heard, what? I heard pickle last. I was like, what is that? Okay, no.
Nah, but what's the reason, man?
No, I'm actually really good at sports. I would rather play them than watch them, and I think like so I'm big on like gaming and stuff like that. Like
okay.
but like not like Call of Duty or anything like that. Like I
Top
like
5.
RPGs and stuff like that, like Legend of Zelda and all that stuff. Like open world.
What's your
and
top 5 video game?
Oh, dude, it's so Kingdom Hearts is always gonna be like my
Fire.
fucking, yeah, my most favorite one. And then I love Legend of Zelda. I love any like really big like RPG game that I don't have to beat like in one day. You know.
You play the second one?
Yeah, that's the one that I'm on. Yeah, fuck that game, dude. That game, I've been playing it for like 4 months, bro, and I literally like haven't even gone halfway through it. Like, dude, they went way too like they overdid it on this.
So you call yourself a gamer? You think?
Sort of. It's because I'm not like an online gamer, right? Like I really don't like Halo or like Call of Duty or any of that stuff, right? Yeah, not really. You know,
Can I give him a boo,
No.
Kevin, please?
Yeah,
Get a little boo.
boo, yeah.
The blue one, Kevin.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, there you go. There
yeah,
you
no,
go.
think of me. If I was Japanese, right? Like those are the types of games that I like playing. Yeah, like I really like the action story based ones. You know what I mean? That kind of have like a
the campaign style games. Yeah.
Assassin's Creed?
No, you know what? I could never get into that one, and I only but I think it's because I played it too long or like too far in. I think they were like on the 5th or 6th one, and I tried playing the first one, and it was so boring that I couldn't get into it. But I think that the second or third one would have probably been better. I just gave up on it. That's really all it was.
I'm not gonna lie, the graphics are pretty cool.
They're all right.
Yeah.
They're okay.
Yeah.
So when
but
it comes,
anyway, that's what it was. It's just sports is just not a thing that I can sit down and watch for like 2 or 3 hours and. Just
but I mean, you do know what football
MMA?
is and what it is and all.
Sure,
So, what are your thoughts on the Cowboys? Like I said, being here in El Paso, like everywhere you go, it's Cowboy this, Cowboy that. There's a Cowboy fucking clubs in every fucking bar you go to.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Oh man, it's the problem with the Cowboys is that like the fans know they're gonna be disappointed, but they pretend like they're not. And then when they fail them, they're disappointed. You know, so I was like, you knew this was gonna happen. They're like
They're too invested in this novela, bro. That's what it is, bro. It's a cowboy Super Bowl novela.
You know, and what's funny is that you're right because it's like there's like it's like they're doing good, they're doing good. And so what's funny is that all of us are like, hey, this next game, I hope you know. They're probably gonna fumble it right when they're about to get into the end zone and you think you're gonna win. You know, they're actually gonna drop it and the team's gonna go back into the other side and you're gonna lose. I hope you know this. And they're like, no. This is our year. We them boys. You know, this is our year. This is our year.
And like last year, they got pretty close. I was like, I wait.
And what happened at the end? On the last game where it mattered,
it broke their heart.
Exactly.
Amor.
Damn.
But you're right. Yeah, I always thought Cowboy fandom is a novela. Like it's a love-hate relationship. Because people just like in my middle school, like they'd be so, like how you said, they'd be so hyped and then they'd be so torn. And, like the girls were crying, and I'm like, no manches.
And
bro.
that's the funny thing is that I think most of us, like for the Cowboys fans, we want them to win. You know. But we're like, hey, look, like we want you to win, but we hope you understand. You're probably not gonna win, you know. And they're like, no. And then it's like, I feel like I can't keep feeling bad for you if you don't understand. No, we're gonna win. It's like I don't think you. Okay,
the Cowboys fans reminds me of like a family get together, right? It's super cool at the beginning and you're getting drunk and shit, and at the end it's just fucking drama and then you're like, fuck it, you know. And then the next day you wake up sober and you be like, you know what, next year's gonna be better, guys. Next year will be better, man. I love my family.
It's un cáncer. It keeps coming back every September, bro.
Yeah. But all right, guys. All that being said, man, we're gonna go ahead and go around this table. We're gonna give our last thoughts on the show. We're gonna start off with our brother Kevin. Kevin, your last thoughts, my man.
I just gotta say I learned a lot from like the marketing stuff, and I didn't know it had so much to do with psychology and like plays a big part. And then realize it's all mind, like it's all a mind game.
It is. I think, and he's right. A lot of it has to do with the mind game and knowing what your clients want or who you're aiming for or looking for. But Chewy, final thoughts.
I appreciate you stopping by once again and dropping some tips, the knowledge, and showing us like the right direction, teaching us the way where to go. You know, I appreciate that. Not a lot of people want to come out, but I appreciate you.
Yeah. All that being said, Mr. Ruben Alvarez, man, final thoughts, brother.
Final thoughts.
Well, you know what? Before you answer that, how would you want people to remember you maybe 20 years from now, maybe when you're not around anymore? Or when somebody mentions you and your name comes up, how do you want people to remember you or think of you?
I don't know. I don't think that I really care about how people remember me. I think I care to be in a book so people remember me. You know? So, like, I want that. Like, I I don't know why it matters so much because it really doesn't matter, right? Like realistically, like you have, Alexander the Great that people remember.
Right.
But let's say that humanity goes on for another 2 million years. He's going to be forgotten at some point. So
True.
there was this, I can't remember who it was that basically said like, if you really think about it, nothing really matters, but something has to matter or else there's no point to life. And that just happens to be mine. You know?
Fuck, I love that shit, dude. I
That's
love
a
it.
good
I
one.
love it, dude. Well, final words for me, Mr. Ruben Alvarez, man. It was a pleasure to meet you. Finally get to meet you. This is probably one of my favorite episodes so far, even though I had my sister in the past episode. Sorry, girl.
Damn.
But no, man, I think you have a lot of tips that people could use either in their business or in life itself. I'm going through some shit myself and seeing some of your wisdom and some of the speeches that you make. I could always use that into the situation that I'm in and use it as a tool to make my life better and stuff like that. And I recommend everybody that's watching and listening, whether you have a business or you want to help somebody out or you're having some issues in life, follow my boy Ruben Alvarez, man. This guy has a lot of tips to give you. Some stuff that you thought you had an idea about, and this guy just gives you another perspective of it. I love the work that you do, man. Hopefully one day we could either work together or, seeing you as a mentor, I think it would be something very awesome. But I really appreciate you for coming in, man, taking the time to do this. It is Saturday right now. There's a lot of events. There's a UTEP football game going on.
Yeah, which we're
There's
going to go right now.
Brightside
Brightside.
Music Festival is going on, guys. This is going to be released after this. So if you went there, tell us your stories. Tell us what happened. I know there's going to be some fights. There's going to be some crashes somewhere.
Just
Oh,
please
don't say that, bro. I'm going tomorrow.
Please don't drink and drive, bro.
Yes,
Please.
guys. Yes. If you didn't drink and drive, thank you. But all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching episode number 5. Super excited for this one. Make sure you guys are following, subscribing. Shout out to our sponsor, Kino, over at Palace Media Marketing and Studio One. You guys are fucking awesome. Guys, episode number 5. Super excited. I wonder who we're going to have on episode 10 now, episode 20, episode 100. Hopefully, Mr. Ruben Alvarez could come back every now and then, be a regular on this show and give us some tips, give you guys some tips. And yeah, guys, all that being said, you guys make sure to be safe out there. You guys make sure to be careful. And most importantly, you guys make sure to stay fresh. We're out.